Welcome to the first in my series of VideoScribe tutorials. VideoScribe is a cloud-based tool that allows you to create some pretty amazing whiteboard animations with very little or no artistic ability or experience. It allows you to use their royalty-free library of music, their royalty-free library of images, and you can go on from there and create your own images, add your own music and your own narration to make some really engaging videos that you know your learners are going to like. So let's get started first of all by looking at the environment. So I'm just going to familiarize you with the environment here. Again, we have the folders, the cloud folders and the local folders, and the ability to create a new scribe is up here. And down here you have the options to import a file from somewhere else, and this is only if you have the pro version or the paid version as opposed to the free trial. You can also go in and set up your settings, and I'm just going to show this to you now because it's important to be aware of. So there's an auto save feature, which is excellent. So in my case, every 3 minutes it auto saves. So if your system crashes, you'll at least have something saved. There's a transition time we're going to talk about in another tutorial between each of the objects or images that you put onto your scribe. How long do you want before it moves or transitions to the next thing? There's also a default pause time before the next item is drawn, and the default max draw time. So if you have a very large image and you bring it in, it will default to whatever it thinks it needs to take to draw it. But I actually choose 5 seconds here because then I can make these drawings appear pretty quickly. The default image quality may not make sense now, but I'm going to show you in a later tutorial how different image qualities will have an impact when you're zooming in and zooming out. So these are my default settings here. You may want to use them as well. And then of course you have help down here. So for the rest of the tutorial, I'm just going to show you quickly how to get started, how to navigate, importing one image, adjusting the properties of the image, and then setting the frame. So these are the the cornerstones. So I'm going to create a new scribe. And here is my panel. So if anybody's ever used Prezi, it's kind of like that. So you have a lot of space. Right now you're just seeing sort of a small section of it. And there's nothing on there yet, so it's kind of really hard to visualize. But you've got a zoom here, and you can zoom in and out like you can in Prezi, and you can move around so you can kind of pan over and pan back and forth. So I'll give you an example of that in a second, but I just want to show you down here, or sorry, up here, you have your save button, and it allows you to save again to the cloud or directly to your desktop or your computer. You can import an image, you can import text, you can import a chart, which I've never actually used. You can import music, or there actually is also, you'll see here, there's some tracks that you can use, and there's quite a few of them. And they nicely tell you how long they are. You can also either import narration, so you can have recorded it in, let's say, for instance, Audacity or some other recording tool, or you can actually do it directly here, record it directly onto the scribe. I'd go with the former because that's one of the things I recommend is actually creating your script first, recording it, and then that gives you how long you need for each of the different drawings that you're going to create. You can also go over here and change the paper color. By default it's a whiteboard, so it's white, sort of flat matte, but you can go in here and you can actually change it to different colors and different textures. And then finally the hand. I'm going to mention this now. When you import a drawing onto your timeline, which is down here, it'll have a default hand. And if you have imported several drawings in here and you realize you want to change the hand, you have to go back to the properties of each one and change it. So if you know you want to use a specific hand or no hand or another objects that you've created, you can go up here to select that default before you start. And you'll have a series here. Now I've actually got some that I've already created. They're just images that I've created as PNGs, so the little pencil draws. But you'll see we have some hands here, and there are also some sets of hands. So let's say you want to use Hannah and you want to use this one here with her pen. You can see an example of it here. So you click on the check mark, and then anything you now import on the timeline will have that hand. Now to import, you're simply going to click on the Add Image to Canvas, and pick an image. Now these are the ones that I've used for one of my recent scribes, but if I'm looking for something from the library, let's say I'm going to look for cat, I would type in cat and hit the search arrow here. and come up with some different cats. So you'll notice they're all different styles, and this is one of the things I'm going to talk about in later tutorials as well, is you can use the library of images, but there's different styles from different artists. So you're going to kind of have a mixture of styles, and that's why there's maybe some value in creating your own images, which I'll talk about later. So there's my image. I've imported it onto my canvas. So I see here we have the image that's going to draw for 5 seconds, and if I want to preview it, I simply have to click on it here, little preview, and there's my drawing. So you'll notice at the very end it zoomed in. That's because the preview is set up that way. You'll see if I do it again, there's a little thing that zooms at the end. I take that check mark out, and then it stays as I left it. So now I'm just going to select that. So you notice it's selected in the timeline here. And what I have to do also is I have to lock it on the canvas. So this will become apparent in a second when I create another image. Now I'm going to use these arrows here to move the canvas a bit to the left. And I'm going to put a picture of a dog in place as well. So I'm going to go back up to Add Image. I'll type in dog, not dig, but dog. And I'll choose this dog, I guess. And move him over a little bit. I could resize him if I wanted to make him smaller, like a puppy. He's going to have a 5-second drawing time, but again, I can change that actually to make it 2 seconds, so it'll draw a little faster. And I want to lock that on the canvas there. So now if I preview both, and I have two options for that, I can preview from the current image, or I can preview from any image, or I can go up here to preview from the beginning. So I get my cat. It takes 5 seconds to draw, and then it's going to pan over a little bit and then quickly draw the dog. And that's it. So all I did there was I just imported 2 images. Now if you want to modify anything more than just, for instance, the draw time, you'll select the image, click on the little properties button here, and then you can see the animation time, also the pause between this one and the next one that appears in the timeline. So usually half a second, that's what I set up for my default. Now the transition time is how long it would take to move on the canvas from the first to the second image. So if I close this down and go back to the cat, I'm going to draw that a little faster, maybe make it 2 seconds as well. And I want it to move really slowly to the next thing, which is the dog. So now if I play it again, it moves more slowly. And then it finally draws the dog. So in later tutorials, we're going to talk more about how you can adjust those settings, how you can move things and zoom in and out. But the basic stuff is importing an image and making sure when you select an object to set the frame, and that's how it's going to appear on the canvas. So the next module is going to be how we use the timeline.